UFC 279, Chimaev versus Diaz. Full card prediction, we got the main event. Khamzat Chimaev and Nate Diaz, Jingliang Lee, Tony Ferguson in the co-main, Kevin Holland versus D-Rod in the casualweight division of 180 pounds, and then a few other very, very solid fights on the rest of the main card, as well as the prelims. If you want to pause it right now, these are all of the betting odds for every single fight on this pay-per-view, and if you want to get all the bets that we're going to be making for this card, our underdog bets, our parlays, our prop bets that we're going to be making on the card, I'm looking to probably make around $1,000 profit on this card, if not that, at least $500. That's the minimum that I'm usually trying to gain for you channel members. So if you want all the bets that we are going to be trying to make, go to the description of this video. Right down below, you'll see the top link down below in the description. Right below all of the timestamps, just like this. Click the link like that. It'll bring you to a page to pay literally $2.99 to join. And for that, you'll get all the bets that made me $1,400 on UFC Fight Night Gane versus Tuivasa. So if you guys want some free money betting on UFC 279, click the link down below in the description. And if you don't have any money to pay to become a channel member, at least you can put your full card prediction for this fight card down below in the comment section. And if this video gets to 100 likes by Friday, I will be giving one of you that comments their full card prediction all of my UFC 279 bets absolutely for free. I mean, on the whole year, we're up about $17,000 more or less. If you want that, click the link down below. If not, comment your full card prediction for a chance to win it for free. But with all that being said, let's get into the first fight here in UFC's welterweight division. Darian Weeks and Yohan Lainesse in the welterweight division. We have a pretty close fight when it comes to the betting odds, as Yohan Lainesse was the favorite for a little while there. He was sitting at minus 150, but immediately, I'm talking minutes later, he was an underdog at plus 105, and the money just kept on trickling in on Darian Weeks. So I think this is going to be a close fight. Both guys lost their undefeated records inside of the UFC recently. Yohan Lainesse is going to be the 2-inch taller fighter. He's going to be the 4-inch lengthier fighter than Darian Weeks. Darian has been fighting, I would say, slightly better competition in Ian Machado Gary and Brian Barberena, but we got to look at the factors on who's going to win the fight. Yohan Lainesse, he's taller, he's lengthier. I believe wrestling and grappling wise, I don't really see that being a case here. Kicking game is going to be pretty even in this fight as well. They both have good leg kicks, good body kicks, especially Yohan Lainesse. But the boxing, I think that's a clear advantage for the plus 110 underdog in Yohan Lainesse. This dude is going to have the height, he's going to have the reach. So if they're just kicking around for 3 straight rounds, it's going to be a 50-50 fight. But eventually, Darian Weeks is going to be trying to close that distance. And when he does, Yohan Lainesse, with the power that he possesses in his hands, is going to be devastating and possibly even knocking out Darian Weeks in round 1 or round 2. So I think Darian has a good shot later on in the fight in round number 3 to possibly get a little bit of a gassed out Yohan Lainesse and possibly finish him like Gabe Green was able to do later on in that fight. But I do think the fight goes to a decision. I think Yohan Lainesse will go out there and win round number 1 and also win round number 2, laying in the harder shots with his hands, keeping the kicking game even, and not really engaging in any wrestling or grappling. I see this being 3 rounds of striking. Yohan Lainesse, the underdog, I think is going to win this fight by a 29-28 decision. And for anyone that does not know, if you are an underdog, plus 114 right there, and I'm predicting you to win, I will be putting some money on you. No matter what, even if you're not a channel member, and you get to see all of my props, all of my money lines, all of my parlays that I'm going to be making for UFC 279, link down below in the description. Even if you don't get that, if I'm predicting an underdog to win, you can guarantee I will be putting a little bit of money on that fighter. So I will be putting some money on Yohan Lainesse to win the fight by a decision right there. Elise Reed and Melissa Martinez in the strawweight division. it's going to be a very, very interesting fight. I think wrestling and grappling, neither girl really wants to be a part of that in this fight, because Melissa Martinez is coming off a split decision 2.5 years ago to Desiree Yanez, where she was taken down a lot in that fight. Elise Reed is coming off a loss to Sam Hughes in a fight where she was taken down a lot in that one as well. So neither girl here, I really think, is going to go out there with the intent of wrestling and grappling. This is going to be a 3-round striking fight, unless there is going to be a finish in round 2 or in round 3. And if there is going to be a finish, it'll be a knockout. I really highly doubt Melissa Martinez is going to go out there and get a submission in the fight. Elise Reed, she's not going to get a submission. I don't think either girl even has a submission win in their career. So this fight is either going to be a KO or a decision. Now, if you look at the betting odds right here really quick, Melissa Martinez started as a minus 252 favorite and is now at minus 150, plus the fact that this is going to be a short notice fight with, if you're looking right here, Hannah Cifers being the original opponent. I was quite confident on Melissa Martinez to beat Hannah Cifers, but now that she's fighting Elise Reed, it does become a little bit closer of a fight, because Melissa Martinez is a very good kicker. She's got good body kicks, good leg kicks, good pressure in her hands and stuff like that. So does Elise Reed in this fight. So it is going to be a close fight. But the one factor I do give the advantage to for Melissa Martinez, because wrestling, stalemate, grappling, stalemate, kicking game, I see kind of being a stalemate. Only thing I'm giving the advantage to Melissa Martinez with is going to be pressure and power. I think she hits with a little bit more of a pop, and I think when she gets the fight to the cage, gets Elise Reed's back to the cage, she'll be landing knees, she'll be landing punches, a lot harder than Elise Reed will in this fight, and at range, she does have the harder body kicks and things like that. So I think volume-wise, it's going to be pretty similar. Once the fight is over, it's going to be like the same amount of strikes for both fighters in this one. But I do think the harder shots of Melissa Martinez, the knees to the body kicks, the pressure when Elise Reed's back is to the cage will all help her to win at least 2 of these rounds. It's going to be a close fight. Won't be surprised if Elise Reed wins here, but it does seem like the UFC is trying to push another undefeated women's prospect here to get a good win, plus the fact, again, Elise Reed is coming in here on short notice to face Melissa Martinez. So, I'm going to go Melissa Martinez to win 2 out of 3 rounds and get the win by a decision right there. Chad Anheliger and Heili Alateng in the bantamweight division. If you look at the betting odds, the odds started for Heili Alateng as a pretty sizable favorite at minus 225. Immediately money came in on Chad Anheliger, got him up to the best of minus 139, but now all the money is coming right back in on Heili Alateng. So the betting odds are moving all over the place, but it is a pretty close fight in my opinion. I think it's a 50-50. Heili Alateng is going to be the lengthier fighter, but Chad Anheliger is going to be the taller fighter. Heili Alateng, I would say, is going to have the slight power advantage. He's going to be younger. He's going to have the speed advantage over Chad Anheliger, the youth advantage over Chad Anheliger. And I think this is going to be Chad just trying to counterpunch Heili Alateng in this fight, and Heili Alateng trying to pressure Chad Anheliger and lane his volume without getting countered by Chad Anheliger. I think the volume is going to be pretty even here, but Heili Alateng, I think, hits a lot harder. I mean, those big shots, the overhands, the uppercuts, left hook, right hooks, he was landing on Kevin Kroom. It was absolutely devastating. And yes, I know Chad Anheliger is coming off a knockout win on Jesse Strader, but it was just a counter one that landed perfectly on Jesse Strader. I do believe Heili Alateng will go out there with the power advantage, with the speed advantage. He's going to have the reach advantage. Volume-wise, it's going to be pretty even, but I think Chad will be tough enough to at least survive and not get finished. He does get finished a lot, but they're mainly submissions, and they were way, way back in 2014 and in 2013. He's never been knocked out in his professional MMA career, so I don't think this is going to be one of those where he gets knocked out again, or for the first time. I think the fight goes all the way. Heili Alateng by a unanimous decision. Norma Dumont and Danyelle Wolf in the featherweight division. Norma Dumont going out there on a 3-fight win streak, beating Ashley Evans Smith, Felicia Spencer, as well as Aspen Ladd, and then losing, oh my gosh, a super close fight to Macy Chiasson that I thought she actually won. Only lost to Megan Anderson where she got countered with a right cross. But this fight right here with Danyelle Wolf seems self-explanatory in my opinion. Yes, Danyelle's going to be taller. She is going to be lengthier. She's probably going to be a little bit bigger than Norma Dumont. But the girl's 39 years old as of 2 days ago. Norma Dumont's going to go out there. She's going to play the counter-punching role on Danyelle Wolf. Danyelle's going to come forward. And Norma Dumont's going to be looking for the leg kicks, the body kicks, just using the kicks to kind of close the gap on the volume and the speed and the amount of punches that both girls is going to be landing, because Danyelle Wolf is only a boxer. She doesn't have really good kickboxing skills. She doesn't really have good wrestling or grappling. So the game plan for Norma Dumont is stay away from the boxing of Danyelle Wolf, kick her at range, and when she does come into range to land those boxing combinations, that is where Norma Dumont is going to mix in the takedowns in this fight. So I think Norma will mix in those takedowns and will mix in the kicks, and I'm going to call a finish right here. I don't think Danyelle Wolf is that good, and I know Norma Dumont has 3 decision wins in a row, a knockout loss to Megan Anderson, and a decision to Macy Chiasson. Yeah, we'll probably see a decision in the fight, but I'm going to go either a round 3 ground and pound TKO or a decision in this fight for Norma Dumont. In round number 3, that's going to be the most likely rounds that Norma's going to win, because that's when the wrestling and the grappling and the leg kicks are starting to wear in on Danyelle Wolf. So possible 3rd round TKO win for Norma Dumont, but most likely we'll see a 30-27 unanimous decision for Norma Dumont in this fight. Collier and Chris Barnett in the heavyweight division. Now, this is a crazy fight. I expect a finish. I definitely expect one of these guys to be knocked out. Collier minus 425 in the betting odds. He's a huge favorite. Started at minus 300, but money is coming in on Collier. The reason being his only win inside of the UFC is Jean Vellante, a guy that's retired and was on like a crazy big losing streak. Before that, got submitted by Ben Rothwell, took him down and got guillotined in that fight. He did lose to Martin Buday as well in a fight he was getting controlled and dominated in the clinch. But this fight right here with Collier arguably won against Andrei Arlovski, arguably won against Carlos Felipe, and he should possibly be on a 4-fight win streak, about to be fighting inside of the top 15, but now he's fighting Chris Barnett, and I do think Chris Barnett is not going to be able to beat Collier in the clinch and on the ground. We saw what Collier was able to do against Chase Sherman in their fight. Was able to outbox him on the feet, then take him down and submit him in that fight. I think Chris Barnett is going to get clinched a lot in this fight. He's going to get boxed up at range because Jake is going to be a lot taller, a lot lengthier. Chris Barnett's going to be looking to come in with something big, look for the knockout in round number 1, round number 2. But that's when Collier is going to get the fight to the clinch, try to do what Martin Buday was doing in the clinch situations and land some big shots there. Then look for the takedown, which I think he will be able to do. And on the ground, he's going to be looking for ground and pound and look for that submission. So, do I agree with the minus 400 betting odds? Probably not. I probably don't agree with it to be that extent of Collier being that big of a favorite, but I do think Collier should be the favorite here. He is a little bit younger, he's taller, he's lengthier, he's better in the clinch, he's better on the ground, and he's better at range. He's pretty much better everywhere than Chris Barnett. And I think in round number 2, he takes down Chris Barnett and submits him like he did with Chase Sherman. Collier by a 2nd round submission. Jamie Pickett and Denis Tiuliulin, however you say that one, in the middleweight division. Betting odds quite close at minus 135. And this fight has been made over and over again. I mean, if we look right here, the fight just keeps on getting made. The last time the fight was made was UFC on ESPN. Dos Anjos versus Fazia back in July. Jamie Pickett was the favorite in that fight as well, but I see this being a pick'em type of fight. Both guys coming off a loss inside the UFC. Denis Tiuliulin losing to Aliaskhab Kazira. Yeah, he did have some good wins on the regional scene. Only losing to Ikram Aliskerov recently, but he is fighting a bigger, taller, lengthier type of guy in Jamie Pickett right here, who came off wins over Loreno Staropoli as well as Joseph Holmes. Did lose to Tafon Chukwi, Jordan Wright, and Kyle Dawkins, so that's not the best look right there, but he did have good wins on Loreno and Joseph Holmes, and I think the game plan that he used used against Joseph Holmes and the game plan he used against Lainesse Therapoli should kind of work in this fight. Denis Tiuliulin is pretty decent on the ground. He's not going to be like the best wrestler, the best grappler in this UFC middleweight division. If he's going to win, it's going to be pressuring Jamie Pickett back to the cage and looking for some big hooks and looking for the knockout on Jamie Pickett. So the inside the distance, no action type of prop bets would probably go for Denis Tiuliulin here, because if Denis is going to win the fight, it's probably going to be a TKO win in round number 1, round number 2, getting Jamie Pickett back to the cage and throwing some really big shots. But if he's not able to get the finish in round number 1, I see Jamie Pickett kind of picking apart Denis Tiuliulin in round number 1 and in round number 2, using the kick set range, using his height, using his reach to stay away from the big, powerful shots at Denis, stay on the outside, kind of like what a Cyril Gane was doing against Tuivasa. And I am going to go Jamie Pickett to win the fight by a unanimous decision. Not a confident pick whatsoever. Denis has power. He has knockout wins plenty on the regional scene. All of his 3 most recent wins were KO wins in round 1 or in round number 2. So Jamie is going to have to be very patient here not to get knocked out. But he's going to play the counter-punching role. And I think he wins round 2 and in round number 3 to win the fight by a 29-28 decision. Jailton Almeida and Anton Turkalj in the catchweight division of 220 pounds. The reason it is a catchweight fight is because Shamil Abdurrahimov, Jailton Almeida was supposed to be the fight, but Shamil Abdurrahimov withdrew from the fight due to visa issues. I'm really not too sure how he's getting visa issues in 2022, but that was the case, and that was in the heavyweight division. Anton Turkalj is a light heavyweight fighter, so he usually has to cut down to the light heavyweight division, and Jailton was not prepared to cut down to the light heavyweight division, so they moved it to 220 pounds. Betting odds for this fight are pretty interesting. Minus 720 for Jailton Almeida, started at minus 1,500, which was absolutely insane, but now he's right around the same range as he was against Shamil Abdurrahimov, minus 720, minus 700, so they're kind of giving him the same odds as it was against Shamil Abdurrahimov. Now, with Anton Turkalj, he's 8-0 undefeated from Sweden, coming off a Contender Series win over Ezequiel Dos Santos. Is not going to be as big as Jailton Almeida in terms of just sheer size and strength and things like that, but he does match him on the physical characteristics of height and in reach. Going to be a little bit taller than Jailton Almeida and is going to be pretty similar in reach right there. But yeah, I do think Jailton Almeida should pretty much win this fight wherever the fight goes. Striking, he's got very good leg kicks, very good front kicks to the body, as he was showing against Nasruddin and Nasruddinov on Dana White's Contender Series. And I mean, Jailton Almeida was taking down this Russian prospect with ease. I mean, he was getting the body lock, taking him down easily. He was getting the single leg, taking him down easily. The double leg, pulling the legs out and getting the takedown quite easily. His jiu-jitsu is absolutely amazing. The dude does jiu-jitsu competitions over and over and over again. Just had one with Rene Pessoa that he did lose in March of 2022. But the grappling, the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu of this man is absolutely amazing. I think he goes out there against Anton Turkalj, outstrikes him a little bit on the feet. They're going to strike for a little bit here, and Jailton Almeida is going to use his very, very fast double leg takedown to get Anton Turkalj back to the cage. He's going to flatten him out, ground and pound, ground and pound, ground and pound, and either get a rear naked choke submission or he's going to get that TKO win like he did with Danilo Marquez a few fights ago. So I see this being one of my most confident picks of the card. First off, it's short notice for Anton Turkalj. Second off, Jailton is going to be the bigger fighter. He's not going to have to cut as much weight as he usually does. And Anton is not used to going up to 220 pounds right here. So Jailton's going to be bigger. He's going to be more powerful in terms of the striking. He's going to have the jiu-jitsu advantage. He's going to have the wrestling advantage. He's going to be better everywhere than Anton Turkalj. So I think Jailton Almeida wins this fight in round number 1 or in round number 2 with a ground and pound TKO. Hakeem Dawodu and Julian Erosa in the featherweight division. Julian Erosa actually doing quite good inside of the UFC, darsing Sean Woodson in that fight, knocking out Nate Landwehr with a flying knee, beating Charles Jourdain with a Darce choke, and then Steven Peterson by split decision, only losing to Sung Woo Choi right there. But this fight with Hakeem Dawodu and Julian Erosa, the winner is getting a top 15 fight. They're both right outside of the top 15. They're at number 24 and number 22 on Tapology. Winner is getting inside of that top 15. Betting odds wise, if you look at it, if we can find it, Hakeem Dawodu is at minus 220 right there. Betting odds to go to a decision is going to be pretty 50-50. I do think the fight goes to a decision. Julian Erosa, yes, he did get knocked out in his fight with Sung Woo Choi, but Hakeem Dawodu is not the knockout type of guy. He's not going out there looking to pressure you back to the cage and look to knock you out round number 1 or round number 2. His only knockout win inside of the UFC out of his total of 6 wins in the UFC was a head kick win in round number 3 with 55 seconds left. So no, I do not see this one being one of those where Hakeem Dawodu is going out there and knocking out Julian Erosa. I see the fight going all the way, and Julian's going to be trying to keep his range, use his height advantage, use his reach advantage at range, and Hakeem is going to be using his kicking game advantage to kick the legs of Julian Erosa, get the body kicks onto Julian Erosa, pressures back to the cage, and land more volume and land the harder shots, because I do believe Hakeem Dawodu is going to be the more technical guy. He's going to land a lot more volume than Julian Erosa. And if Julian Erosa is having that close of a striking battle with Steven Peterson in their fight, imagine what Hakeem Dawodu is going to be doing on the feet. If Steven is making it that close of a striking battle, Hakeem's going to absolutely destroy him on the feet. Yes, Julian Erosa does have good jiu-jitsu and things like that, good submission game. And yeah, Movsar Evloev was able to take him down and control him there. Julian Erosa is no Movsar Evloev. He's not going to go out there and dominate and control Hakeem Dawodu on the ground. This is going to be 3 rounds of striking, and like Hakeem Dawodu kind of always does, he's going to win pretty much all of these rounds right here and get a very close 29-28 decision win on Julian Erosa, being the more technical fighter, landing more volume, and getting the harder shots with his kicks. Unanimous decision win for Hakeem Dawodu. Johnny Walker and Yohan Cutelaba on the main card of UFC 279. If we look at the betting odds right here, they are very interesting, as the man, the myth, the legend, Johnny Walker is at plus 155 on the betting odds, Yohan Cutelaba at minus 180, 50-50 odds to go over 1.5 rounds. It's going to be an interesting fight, because on one hand, you got Johnny Walker coming out there, getting knocked out by Corey Anderson, losing a decision to Nikita Krylov in a fight he was just getting out-wrestled and out-grappled in. He did beat Ryan Spann in their fight, which is a good win, but then he lost to Thiago Santos and Jamal Hill. So it's an interesting fight, because Yohan Cutelaba getting knocked out twice by Magomed Ankalaev, getting submitted by Ryan Spann, but beating Devin Clark and getting very, very close to beating Dustin Jacoby in a very, very close fight. I have this fight going one of 2 ways. One way, Yohan Cutelaba goes out there, pressures Johnny Walker's back to the cage, starts throwing bombs, catches that weakling chin of Johnny Walker and knocks him out. Another way is Johnny Walker goes out there, survives round number 1 somehow, and outstrikes Yohan Cutelaba at range and wins this fight. But those aren't the only 2 outcomes. I told you there was 2, but there's more. Another one is Johnny Walker can survive round number 1. He's alright, fine, I survived round number 1. I did lose the round, so I have to win round number 2 and round number 3. But that's when Yohan Cutelaba is going to start mixing in the wrestling. The Hulk has very good takedowns, took down Ryan Spann 3 times before he got guillotined in round number 1. So, I mean, for all the reasons I want to go Johnny Walker to win. He's got very good kickboxing. He's super tall, super lengthy. He's 30 and a half years old. He's training with Khamzat Chimaev right now. For all of those reasons, I would love to say that Johnny Walker is going to be one of my underdog predictions of the card, but I don't know what his takedown defense is going to look like. Training with Khamzat Chimaev is one thing. Going out there and showing that training is going to help you defend the takedowns, that's a completely other different thing. So I think round 1, E1 is going to go out there, pressure Johnny Walker, land some pretty big shots, and find the range to land the takedowns onto Johnny Walker. And in round number 2, round number 3, that is where Yohan Cutelaba will start to mix in those takedowns a lot better. And I think Johnny Walker is kind of going to be like a Luke Rockhold, where a guy with a horrible chin is somehow going to survive to a decision with a Hulk, to the Paulo Costa type of guy. And I think he's going to eat some big shots in this fight, survive a little bit here, use it as clinch, and E1 is going to use the takedowns to win every single round. I think he wins a 30-27, just like Paulo Costa. That's kind of the fight I see this playing out like. And E1's going to be landing the harder shots, going to be landing more shots, mixing in the takedowns, a little bit of ground and pound as well. And Yohan Cutelaba winning this fight. On the judges' scorecards, I know a lot of you guys are thinking, heck no, this fight is not going to a decision. I got a feeling, I think Yohan Cutelaba wins every single round, wrestling and grappling in round number 2, and in round number 3, and in round 1, outstriking Johnny Walker, almost knocking him out, but Johnny will survive. 30-27 decision win for Yohan Cutelaba. Irene Aldana and Macy Chiasson in the bantamweight division. If we look at the betting odds for the fights, plus 175 for Macy Chiasson, started at plus 136. So Irene was just a slight favorite to start off the betting odds, but now is a pretty sizable favorite. Height and reach is going to go Macy Chiasson. She's going to be 2 inches taller, and she's going to be about 4 inches lengthier than Irene Aldana. But if you look at a lot of the fights for Irene Aldana, she's looking to come into the inside and land some powerful shots. She beat Vanessa Melo, garbage fighter, beat Ketlin Vieira, which was a very good win by knockout. Then she knocked out Yana Kunitskaya in their fight as well. I'm thinking this is going to be a 50-50 fight, because Yana Kunitskaya is a good wrestler, she's a good grappler, but in this fight with Macy Chiasson and Irene Aldana, it all comes down to the takedown for me. On the feet, I think Irene Aldana will have trouble getting to the inside and landing some big shots on Macy Chiasson, but she will get in every now and then and land some good, big, powerful combinations onto Macy Chiasson. But again, Macy's going to be landing a little bit more volume than Irene Aldana at range, and is going to be landing a lot more shots, a lot more kicks, a lot more punches than Irene Aldana in the fight. So in the striking, it's going to come down to the volume of Macy Chiasson versus the power shots of Irene Aldana. But that's not it, because I think that part alone is going to have it be a very, very close fight. The striking is going to be super, super even in this fight. But the one thing I'm having trouble with here for Macy Chiasson, Irene Aldana, is going to be the wrestling. It's going to be the wrestling. I know Irene Aldana's takedown defense as a whole has been pretty decent inside the UFC, but she did get taken down 5 times by Holly Holm in their fight. Her takedown defense wasn't really tested against Yana Kunitskaya, because Yana was really not going out there with the plan of going out there looking for the takedowns. The only person really going out there to take down Irene Aldana in her fights was Holly Holm, and she took 14 takedown attempts, landed 5 of them. There was some pretty good takedown defense there, but she was still taken down 5 times and controlled for 5 minutes on the grounds. Thinking of a girl like Macy Chiasson, who landed about 6 takedowns in her last fight inside the UFC against Norma Dumont, there's a good chance she could go out there and land the takedowns here against Irene Aldana. So this is going to be 50-50 fight, flip a coin, and that is going to be the outcome in my opinion. I think the fight goes out either way here, but again, I think Irene Aldana is going to land a little bit of harder shots. The volume is going to be pretty close. I give the slight advantage to Macy Chiasson here, plus the fact that Macy Chiasson could mix in a few takedown attempts here and there as well. That's why this fight is such a close one in the bantamweight division. But I think Irene Aldana is going to be landing slightly harder shots than Macy Chiasson and edge out a very, very close 29-28 split decision. But again, this is a close fight. Do not bet Norma Dumont. She's too big of a favorite. Sorry, I'm thinking of the last fight. Do not bet Irene Aldana. I think this fight is a pick'em. Should go either way. Macy can definitely steal it with the takedowns in this fight, but I'm going to lean at Irene Aldana to barely edge out a 29-28 decision. Kevin Holland and Daniel Rodriguez almost in the middleweight division of 185 pounds. Don't ask me why. I don't know why it's in the 180-pound division, but D-Rod is going to be 35 years old, not as tall and not as lengthy as Kevin Holland in this fight. He's going to be pressuring Kevin Holland, looking to get his back to the cage and land a knockout blow. Did get the knockout win on Preston Parsons, got a decision on Kevin Lee and Mike Perry, but he did knock out Dwight Grant in their fights and should have won against Nicholas Dalby. This should be an interesting fight, betting odds-wise. They're going to be having, if I can find it, Daniel Rodriguez at plus 180 on the betting odds right there. Kevin Holland at minus 210. At worst, he was at minus 180 on the betting odds. My prediction for the fight is going to be Kevin Holland, the trailblazer, to win this fight by a decision. The reason being, jiu-jitsu-wise, wrestling-wise, I can't see D-Rod going out there taking down Kevin Holland in the fight. But I can possibly see Kevin Holland mixing in some takedowns of his own. If you watch the fight with Tim Means and Kevin Holland, the wrestling, the takedown defense, the takedown offense of Kevin Holland was looking pretty solid, as well as the fight with Alex Oliveira, where he was able to get the fight back up on the feet and knock out Alex Oliveira. So I think wrestling and grappling-wise, Kevin Holland should be able to kind of handle himself there and make this mainly a striking fight. I think this is going to be 3 rounds of striking with Daniel Rodriguez and Kevin Holland. And if you look at the UFC statistics on their website right here, volume-wise, yes, D-Rod throws a heck of a lot of volume, probably the #1 in the UFC's welterweight division in terms of strikes landed per minute, at 8 strikes landed per minute, which is absolutely insane. But do you think he's going to be able to land that amount of volume on Kevin Holland? I don't necessarily think so. I think he'll try to. He'll try to pressure Kevin Holland and land that volume. But Kevin, being the taller, lengthier guy that he is going to be using that reach advantage to pop Daniel Rodriguez as he's coming in, to look for that volume. And this is going to be one of those fights where Kevin Holland is just going to be landing a little bit more volume. I don't see this fight being a barn burner, crazy back and forth war type of fight with D-Rod and Kevin Holland. I kind of see D-Rod coming forward, pressuring Kevin Holland. Kevin trying to be like a Cyril Gone, standing on the outside, using his kicks at range, jabbing a 1-2-ing, standing on the outside, circling around the cage. And I think D-Rod's going to get frustrated and countered and picked apart on the outside from Kevin Holland. So this should be a close one. If D-Rod is able to get on the inside, is able to find that range, he should have some success here. But it is very hard to close the range on a guy that's going to be 7 inches longer than you. So I do think Kevin Holland will pick him apart on the outside and win this fight by a unanimous decision. Jingliang Li and Tony Ferguson in the welterweight division. Tony Ferguson, after fighting in the lightweight division for a very, very long time, has finally decided to go up a weight class after losing to Justin Gaethje by knockout. The champion Charles Oliveira by unanimous decision. Beneil Dariush by unanimous decision in a front kick knockout loss to Michael freaking Chandler. Before that, he was beating everyone in the lightweight and welterweight division, but now he's going back to the welterweight division where he's going to be fighting Jingliang Li. And this is a little bit too early. If you look at Tony Ferguson's last fight with Michael Chandler, that was about 3.5 months ago. So he's fighting Jingliang Li that soon after getting knocked out that badly against Michael Chandler. Not a good look in my opinion, because I do believe Jingliang Li, being the younger guy, being the more powerful guy than Tony Ferguson as well, he hits a lot harder, he has the kicking advantage with the leg kicks and things like that. I don't think it's a good move for Tony Ferguson to be coming in that fast to fight a guy like Jingliang Li, and for those reasons, I do think Jingliang Li is going to go out there in round number 1, and they're going to throw down a little bit there in round number 1. Jingliang Li is going to be countering Tony Ferguson as he's coming in. He's going to be landing the harder shots with his punches, and he's going to kind of closing in the gap on volume with his leg kicks and body kicks at range. So I think he wins round number 1 and round number 2. Round number 3, Tony's going to go crazy. He's going to realize he's down 2 rounds to 0, and he needs to get a finish at that point. And that is where Jingliang Li is going to mix in the takedowns. We saw what Benil Dariush was able to do in their fight, and Jingliang Li was able to take down Muslim Salikov in their fight as well. So I think round 1 and round 2 is mainly going to be a striking fight where Jingliang is going to land more volume, land the leg kicks, counter Tony Ferguson as he's coming in with big, powerful shots. And in round number 3, Jingliang Li is going to be looking for the takedowns there, kind of like a Benil Dariush. He'll land a few takedowns, mix them in there, and volume Tony Ferguson in round number 3. I think that's going to be the only round I can possibly see going for Tony Ferguson, would be round number 3, because he's going to realize he's down 2 rounds and try to come back and get the win. But overall, I think the fight goes all the way, and I do think Jingliang Li wins at least round number 1, round number 2, landing those devastatingly hard leg kicks at range and countering Tony Ferguson as he's coming in. I got Jingliang Li winning this fight by a unanimous decision. Nate Diaz and Khamzat Chimaev in the welterweight division. The betting odds for this crazy fight in the welterweight division are way down here at minus 2,000 for Khamzat Chimaev, minus 1150 for Khamzat Chimaev right there. He is a humongous favorite for good reason. I mean, there's a good reason to have Khamzat Chimaev at that big of a favorite. First off, he is bigger. Second off, he is younger. He is taller. He is more powerful. He has the better wrestling. He has the better grappling. Maybe Nate Diaz could have some good submission skills here. But everywhere you look at it, clinch game, size, power, speed, youth, height, size. I mean, I can keep on going on and on about the attributes and the advantages for Khamzat Chimaev in the fights. So obviously I'm going to go Khamzat Chimaev to win this fight against Nate Diaz, but you never know. Nate Diaz is one of those guys that could go out there and slap Khamzat Chimaev in round number 1, knock him out, a slap right on the chin, and he can knock him out. Go fight Jake Paul over there in boxing. You never know with a guy like Nate Diaz. But it should be self-explanatory. Nate Diaz is going to be striking at range, looking to slap Khamzat Chimaev a few times. But before that, Khamzat Chimaev is going to land some takedowns. While Nate Diaz is on bottom, getting taken down by Khamzat Chimaev, Khamzat's going to be ground and pounding. Nate Diaz is going to be smiling, throwing up the middle finger, slapping Khamzat Chimaev from bottom position. It's going to be an exciting fight. Nate Diaz will make it an exciting fight. But Khamzat Chimaev is going to rip open that scar tissue early on in the fight with elbows and ground and pound. And in round number 2, I think it'll last at least 1 round. In round number 2, Khamzat Chimaev will TKO Nate Diaz due to doctor stoppage, or he will win the fight by TKO. By submission right there. Doctor stoppage with the scar tissue and all the blood and things like that and the ground and pound. Or I got Khamzat Chimaev doing all of that, and then Nate Diaz gives us back. Khamzat cranks the rear and naked choke submission, but you never know with Nate Diaz. I mean, come on. Nate Diaz is Nate Diaz. You never know with this guy, but I think Khamzat Chimaev will eat a few slaps from Nate Diaz in the fight, take him down with ease, ground and pound him, cut him open, and either submit him or doctor stoppage him in round number 2. That is the full card prediction for UFC 279 Chimaev versus Diaz. I got Khamzat Chimaev in round number 2. Jingliang Li by unanimous decision. Kevin Holland by unanimous decision. Irene Aldana by a split decision. Yohan Cutelaba by a decision, but that one can definitely be a TKO. Hakeem Dawodu by a decision. Jailton Almeida in round number 1 or round number 2 by whatever he wants. Ground and pound TKO or a rear naked choke submission. Jamie Pickett by a decision. Collier by a submission. Norma Dumont in round number 3 by TKO or by unanimous decision. Heili Alateng by unanimous decision. Melissa Martinez in a close decision. And Yohan Lainesse in a close decision. Underdog is going to be Yohan Lainesse, but the other one that I was very contemplating, is going to be Macy Chiasson. This one, on any given night, my prediction could change. I could switch to Macy Chiasson. I could switch right back to Irene Aldana. So My underdog is going to be Yohan Lainesse, but Macy Chiasson is almost there as my other underdog of the card. Those are the full card prediction. Make sure you guys like this video and get it to, what did I say it was, 100 likes. I think that's what I said at the beginning of the video. Whatever it was, I'll comment, down in the pinned comments will be the directions for how many likes we need the video to get. If you comment your full card predictions and we do hit that like goal, I will be giving one of you that comments your full card prediction all of my UFC 279 bets absolutely for free. So comment your prediction down below. Make sure to like the video. Let's get this one to 100 likes. Subscribe, turn on those notifications, and click the link down below in the top link of the description for all of my 279 bets. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.